Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's session on accelerating Edge AI solutions. I'm Steve Graham, General Manager of our Edge AI group at Intel Corporation, and joining me is Joe Coco, who leads the Partner Group Program Manager for the Azure Edge devices, platforms, and services. And today we'll be talking about how Intel and Microsoft are collaborating to accelerate the development of Edge AI solutions that deliver business outcomes at the edge. And as we all have seen, computing is becoming woven into the fabric of everything we do. And as the physical world gets connected to the internet, we see an explosion of data, an opportunity to transform industries and enrich lives. This decade, more than half of data will be created and processed outside the data center, closer to the point of data creation or service delivery, in the physical world of factories, hospitals, cities, and more. This will enable us to transform industries and enrich lives, as I talked about. One of the compelling challenges, though, in delivering on this promise is how to take these incredible AI applications that I'm prototyping in my PC, I'm training and building in the cloud, and deploy them in the physical world we live in today, a physical world that has installed existing infrastructure, that has multiple OS support. And enterprises are challenged with the cost of deploying new infrastructure that can run AI. Microsoft and Intel are partnering on a set of compelling technologies that allow enterprises to deploy AI at the edge on new and installed infrastructure across operating systems environments, giving you the total cost of ownership and a faster time to business outcome. Joe, can you tell us a little bit more about the technologies you're developing to allow developers to prototype in their PC in Azure and deploy seamlessly at the edge?
Sure, Steve. It's great to talk with you today and to talk with everybody else today and share the collaboration with Intel that we've been having over the last several months. So, as Steve mentioned, AI is really gathering steam on the edge. And the challenge is how to actually take advantage of the benefits of AI. And so what we've been doing recently is really bringing the best of Windows and the best of Linux together. And because many of the AI workloads today are packaged in Linux containers. And so then the question is, how do I take advantage of those assets if I have a bunch of Windows IoT devices in my factory or my retail store? And so we've created this solution called eFlow, or Edge for Linux on Windows. And it really brings the best of Windows and Linux together. What eFlow does is it provides a lightweight, production-oriented VM for deploying Linux workloads on Windows devices. Your Windows 32 apps can run side by side with your Linux workloads and interoperate. And so imagine the world where you're a developer, you have a PC, that's your development box running Windows. You can develop using WSL2. WSL is our Windows subsystem for Linux. So right from your Windows box using VS Code, you can develop your Linux workloads, test them out, train the models, and then you can deploy that Linux workload to those devices in the field onto eFlow, the lightweight VM for production Linux workloads. And so we're super excited about that. The beauty of this is that we integrate with OpenVINO, so you can get the hardware acceleration and the performance that you need when you're doing your ML inferencing on the edge. And you can test that on your development box as you're developing. So it's really a great end-to-end solution and really brings together the best of both worlds.
So Joe, that's extremely compelling. So it gives developers the opportunity to develop on their PC, in Linux-based applications, deploy an existing infrastructure with Windows, with those applications that we know and love on Windows, with all the Windows great support services, and it connects to Azure services. So as we deploy that new AI infrastructure, we can actually manage that with Azure as well. And I think something that not everybody knows is, with Intel and Microsoft, we've developed an incredible ecosystem of industry-specific purpose-built hardware platforms, everything from ruggedized gateways to medical-grade human-machine interfaces. And with the toolkit we have, OpenVINO, we can take advantage and enhance the AI performance on those existing hardware platforms. And we can also connect it to that great AI developer experience in Azure using eFlow as well. And so it's just an incredible value proposition for developers that want to deploy solutions in the physical world today and don't want to wait for new infrastructure, or want to pair new infrastructure with existing infrastructure. One of the things that we've been working on at Intel is we've actually used eFlow with OpenVINO and built a reference application. And one of the key use cases we find in manufacturing is predictive maintenance. And we want to be able to predict and understand when manufacturing facilities are going to break down. We actually took the eFlow technology on Windows 10 infrastructure, and we actually took a bearing data set, and we analyzed using LSTM neural networks whether or not those bearings were going to fail. And we did that in the CPU with OpenVINO, getting the AI performance we need to predict those failures. And we got this up and running in just a few days, and it was an incredible use case using eFlow and the OpenVINO toolkit. Joe, you want to talk a little bit more about the other compelling use cases you're seeing with the community that's using eFlow already?
Yeah, absolutely. You raised a couple of interesting points, Dean. One is, the types of devices that are out there that are running Windows IoT today, it's really a huge variety of devices in many different vertical markets. So you mentioned, industrial use cases. Industrial HMIs is a good example. Manufacturing, we see a lot of defect detection in manufacturing processes, whether that's looking for defects with cameras on, say, widgets that you're manufacturing, or even looking at, fruit on an assembly line and picking out the bad fruit using computer vision as a couple of examples. Another one would be in retail settings. Windows IoT is used in many retail settings as well, whether it's a local gas station or a large retailer. So looking at things like whether the shelves need to be restocked is a great example, where the people are within the store. These are all things that we're seeing an increasing use of AI in. And so being able to bring the OpenVINO technology together with eFlow and those Linux workloads on those Windows IoT devices is a really powerful opportunity for our customers. The other thing you mentioned as well, Steen, was the connection to the cloud. And one of the interesting things as we dive into the kind of the details of the architecture of eFlow is that we have included Azure IoT Edge as part of this lightweight virtual machine. And so you get the virtual machine for running your Linux workloads, but it's also integrated with Azure IoT Edge for seamless connectivity to the cloud. And that virtual machine actually uses our Mariner Linux operating system. Mariner is a Linux operating system from Microsoft that we use for our first-party products. And so we're using Mariner and building upon that. And then the beauty is the interoperability between the Win32 apps and those Linux workloads. That's really a key piece of it. And when you think about the strength of Windows and the strength of Linux, it's really a powerful combination, because Windows allows you to build these applications with advanced user interfaces for the end user. With natural user input. So say with an ultrasound machine, for example, a touch interface or even a pen interface. That's a huge benefit to Windows devices. And of course, the huge Win32 app ecosystem. But in addition to that, you also get 10 years of long-term servicing with Windows. You get enterprise-grade device management and security. And it's just an out-of-the-box solution. So it's really a strong value prop. But Linux brings a number of other value propositions, right? One is it's flexible and customizable, low cost of entry. And as I mentioned earlier at the outset, a lot of the AI workloads are packaged in Linux containers. And some of the modern microservice architecture pieces like Kubernetes have also been built on Linux. And we're big fans of Linux. And so we wanted to bring both of these things together. You can run them on one device at the same time. and everything can seamlessly interoperate.
Yeah, Joe, so many things you said there are so compelling. And I think, you know, we've actually been able to, deploy and prototype AI in the cloud and deploy it at the edge. And what's the game changer here, as you alluded to, is to be able to do that across Linux and Windows with existing and new applications on existing and new infrastructure. And why that's such a game changer, we think, is because that gives enterprises their fastest ability to deploy these new AI applications and their best total cost of ownership in doing so, which makes this a really incredible value proposition. And, Joe, I think we're busting a few myths with this as well, where some people think, you can't run AI applications on Windows. And some people think you can't run AI applications on, Intel-based host processors. But with the advancements we built out through eFlow, you can certainly run those cloud-native AI applications and manage them through Azure on eFlow. And similarly, with the OpenVINO toolkit, we're unlocking enhanced AI performance on our existing CPUs and integrated graphics capability as well. And of course, if you need additional acceleration, you can have our purpose-built VPUs for edge AI applications as well. And ultimately, why that's so compelling, again, is this ecosystem that we've collectively built decades upon decades of purpose-built custom equipment. And this is equipment with the right certifications for industries, the right I/O, the right range of power for the physical world. Obviously, there's ubiquitous computing resources and huge amounts of power in a data center. But when you deploy at the edge, power constrained, custom I/O to ingest those devices. So there's so many things we can unlock with the power of eFlow, Windows capabilities, and then getting the enhancements in the AI performance in OpenVINO. So, Joe, what do you think? What do you see over the next few years as far as edge AI applications and enterprises deploying this technology?
Yeah, I mean, we're really seeing a strong demand for using eFlow to bring AI to the edge. We have eFlow is in public preview right now. We have many customers building solutions on it. And again, we're seeing a lot of demand in the industrial sector and the retail sector. Those are two really popular ones. But even you can imagine scenarios. When I say retail, it's a pretty broad spectrum of scenarios, right? You can imagine a self-ordering kiosk as an example that has cameras in it, right? And you're, say, recognizing people, how many people are in front of the kiosk. It might be a self-ordering kiosk or something, or something in a large big box store to check the price of a product or find where something is in the store. And so that integration of cameras is really happening across all these different industries. And so we're just seeing such a variety. It's really inspiring. But the other thing is, it's not just about, as you alluded to, it's not just about cameras or even AI for that matter. I mean, really, you can run any Linux module. It can be something that some sort of manufacturing application, some sort of OPC standard that's running there. There's all kinds of interesting hardware and devices that you can talk to. So it's really the broad set of code that you can bring together both from Windows and from Linux. And you can do that without having a Linux operating system team. Let's say you have Windows devices in a facility. You don't have to go buy another box, a Linux device, maintain the operating system, build the operating system yourself. Microsoft maintains all of that for you. So we keep not only Windows up to date, we keep the VM up to date with the Mariner Linux operating system inside of it, and keep it all secure. And you can continue to use the existing device management tools and update tools that you already have and that you're familiar with. So there's really a wide variety of scenarios, Steen.
Yeah, I think one couple of things that you talked about that I think are really moving the industry forward in this direction. You talk about the industrial sector, and with protocols like OPC UA, we're able to kind of unlock this whole new data set now But we want to be able to process that data at the edge because some of this data has a very short half-life. It needs to be analyzed and acted upon, in near real time. And so by putting the AI workloads at the edge, co-located with that new OPC data set, we're able to act on that in near real time and solve some of these challenges in the industry, like predictive maintenance, like defect detection, that are really compelling use cases for industrial applications. And you talked a little bit about, cameras as well. And I think, there's industry standards like ONVIF, where we're seeing the ability to kind of connect those endpoint data sets from the cameras to this intelligent AI node. And that intelligent AI node, now with eFlow and OpenVINO, was just a PC. You turn on that PC now, and you can actually analyze and act upon that information. And what's so important about this value proposition is the programmability of it is so much easier with these common industry standards that are feeding in that data set. And then we're able to use PC programming methodologies and even make it more seamless with a combination of Azure services at the edge, eFlow, and then unlock the performance we need to run AI on that existing infrastructure with OpenVINO. It's kind of all coming together. And for someone like myself who has been working in IoT for a decade, we've always been asking, hey, what are we going to do with all this data? This zettabyte scale of data that we're creating today that far exceeds social media data. And one of the challenges was just being able to analyze and act on that data in near real time. And now with deep learning and the infrastructure and the tools to deploy deep learning, we're able to drive real business outcomes, in these compelling sectors such as industrial, such as retail, and much more. So an incredible set of value propositions. Joe, anything else you're really excited about delivering here with eFlow? Any new previews of complementary technologies you're bringing to market?
Yeah, that's a really good point, Steen. So one of the things that we've brought to eFlow is our live video analytics solution. So this is an Azure service that runs both in the cloud and on the edge for when you need near real-time performance or low latency, or you want to optimize the data bandwidth. And we were easily able to bring that over. It's a Linux-based edge solution today, and it just runs on the Windows device using eFlow. And so that's a great example of bringing other services from Microsoft. Even you can go even further. SQL Edge, or there's a number of different services that we have. You can run, whether they run natively on Windows or they're Linux solutions running in eFlow. Doesn't really matter. They all work together. So you'll see many more services from Microsoft taking advantage of eFlow on Windows devices. And I think the other point you talked about is the beauty of the developer story as well, right? It's been really hard to develop these applications. There's so many new pieces of technology, from training and then how do you deploy them and how do you scale them? And really, with the ability to use VS Code and the great development tools on your PC with WSL, develop there, test there, and then deploy to production using eFlow is just a really great, seamless story from developer to deployment. And again, going through often Azure IoT Edge or IoT Hub to actually deploy those modules then. So that cloud connectivity for being able to manage those modules from the cloud, that deploy them to edge devices, update them as needed. It's a very powerful, I think, capability that we haven't really had that end-to-end solution before.
Yeah, and I just want to kind of expand on that because, what the secret is that, not only you can prototype in WSL2 on your laptop, right? But you can also unlock another layer of performance with OpenVINO on that same processor. And, I was actually launched the Neural Compute Stick too. And, it was a great technology, used our purpose-built VPUs to add acceleration. But once we actually install OpenVINO on your desktop or your laptop system, you're actually getting just as good or better performance than that purpose-built AI accelerator. So there's really no need for that USB-based acceleration. But the really cool thing about prototyping in WSL2, turning on OpenVINO, and deploying that in the edge. This is this incredible ecosystem of hundreds of purpose-built devices, because that same code and that same processor is available today in HMIs and ruggedized gateways, in DEN rail form factors, and Comms Express modules with custom carrier boards. It's just a ubiquitous ecosystem that's been built decade after decade after decade, which is really compelling. I want to go back to something you said earlier, because I'm tremendously excited about it, and I hope the folks that are watching are as well. Is you talk about live video analytics, and I think for those of us that geek out on this, we understand that the Windows media pipeline is great. And what you're essentially doing is you're pairing the Windows media pipeline with this Linux-based development environment for AI. And then we've also done an OpenVINO integration, so you can get the best of your existing hardware as well with that. And as we all know, about 80% of the IP traffic in the world today is video. So what do you want to run analytics on? What do you want to run really fast? Wow, you want to run video applications really fast. So that's an incredible value proposition, Joe, that you talked about. And the other thing you hit on, which I think is really compelling, is we talk about this data being created. And obviously, it makes a lot of sense to have your databases in the cloud, but some data you want to cache at the edge. And you talked about the value proposition of pushing out the SQL database technology as well, which is probably not surprising that we've also done an OpenVINO integration there. So you can run analytics on that SQL data. And so, ultimately, we're making it really easy for developers to run AI on that data at the edge, so they can drive business outcomes and get the benefits of installed applications, new applications, installed infrastructure, and new infrastructure. It's really an incredible value proposition that we're seeing in the market.
Yeah, absolutely. It's these are exciting times indeed. That's for sure.
So in our session today, Joe and I have talked about compelling solutions in the retail environment, like shopper analytics, inventory management, or industrial, such as defect detection or predictive maintenance for industrial machinery. We talked a little bit about the innovations we're seeing in applications like smart cities, where we can do traffic flow optimization, and even in healthcare, where we're able to use existing infrastructure to run AI applications in areas like medical images and X-ray equipment, and so much more. If you're excited about those innovations that Joe and I have talked about, and you want to learn more about the technology that's available from Microsoft, from Intel, and our incredible partner community today, you can go to theintelligentedge.com and check out that incredible set of solutions and learn about how you can deploy them today and drive those business outcomes at the edge. Joe, I had such an incredible time today talking about this technology that we're building that allows developers to both prototype in their PC, use these incredible cloud services with Azure, and deploy on existing and new infrastructure and support new and existing applications. It's really an incredible story. And thank you so much for joining me to talk about it. Anything you'd like to add to our audience?
Steen, well, thank you. I've really enjoyed the conversation. It's always fun chatting with you about, the intelligent edge and AI and the role that, Intel's played in really making that a reality. And so I'm also excited about where this is going. I encourage folks to check out theintelligentedge.com. There's lots of good resources there. And I encourage folks to also give the eFlow preview a try. It's available for download, and send feedback, and hope you can build some cool applications with it.
Fantastic. Thanks everybody for joining us today.
Thank you.